Dixon. Seattle saw potential in Dixon before anyone else did and could see where his future was headed. The Seahawks have never been shy about their love for Dixon. Seattle in the 2018 draft traded up to use a 5th-round draft pick to snag him. Anytime a team uses a draft pick and even trades up to take a punter, that says they really think highly of him. And Dixon in his rookie season proved Seattle right for believing in him, as he made the Pro Bowl and was first-team All-Pro. Following a solid 2019 campaign, Dixon in 2020 improved even more by ranking 2nd in the league in yards per punt at 49.6, which was also the 9th highest single-season average of all time. After a season as impressive as that, Seattle wasn't planning on using draft picks on punters again anytime soon. So last offseason, the Seahawks signed Dixon to a 4-year, $14.7 million extension with $7.5 million guaranteed and a $6.5 million signing bonus. Dixon now takes home $3.7 million a year. Kicker, Justin Tucker. Tucker has proven himself to be one of the most reliable and deadly weapons in the game, which is a very strange thing to say about a kicker, but the facts are there to back it up. Tucker is the NFL's most accurate kicker of all time, having made 91.1% of his career field goals. He is one of just 3 kickers to even crack that career 90% mark. What makes him so special isn't just his accuracy, though. His leg strength is second to none, too, as last season he set a league record for longest field goal ever with a 66-yard game winner against the Lions. Just this offseason, Tucker signed a 4-year, $24 million extension, giving him the most guaranteed money ever for a kicker at $17.5 million. Tucker making $6 million per year just goes to show how much faith the Ravens have had in him. Fullback, Kyle Juszczyk. While Kyle Juszczyk may not be a household name because of his unglamorous position, that doesn't mean his impact isn't felt by opposing teams every time he suits up. As part of an offense that relies heavily on creative runs and play action, Juszczyk's role cannot be understated. The 49ers use him as a Swiss Army knife with his athleticism and versatility. Having played tight end in college, Juszczyk is more athletic than the average fullback, but can still lay out a defender if need be. He said, "Rarely does anyone want to be a fullback. You become a fullback by necessity. I was a tight end who was too short. That's what my agent told me during the pre-draft process." Regardless of why he started playing the position, it's clear to San Francisco, and anyone who watches closely, that Juszczyk is extremely good at what he does. As 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan once said, "Kyle is a great player. He's as good of a fullback as there is, or probably has been." He's so valuable that during the 2021 offseason, San Francisco signed him to a 5-year, $27 million contract with $9 million guaranteed. The length and guaranteed money of the deal, along with making $5.4 million per year, is very rare for a fullback. Tight end, George Kittle. The 49ers quickly fell in love with Kittle and wasted little time in giving the former 5th-round draft pick a record-breaking deal. After a rookie season that wasn't anything special, Kittle in 2018 exploded onto the scene. He led all tight ends in receiving yards with 1,377 and was 3rd in receptions with 88 while being named to the Pro Bowl. Kittle then built off this year and, despite missing 2 games, was still 3rd among tight ends for most receiving yards and 4th in receptions. While obviously still impressive, those stats don't tell the full story of Kittle's impact on the field. In addition to being a threat in the passing game, he is by far the best blocking tight end in the league, which is why in 2019 he was named first-team All-Pro. Having strung together back-to-back dominant seasons, the 49ers didn't care that Kittle only had 3 years of experience. They wanted to lock him up for the foreseeable future. So, right before the 2020 season began, the 49ers signed Kittle to a 5-year, $75 million extension with an $18 million signing bonus, making him the highest-paid tight end of all time and giving him $15 million per year. Running back, Christian McCaffrey. After making McCaffrey the highest-paid running back in NFL history during the 2020 offseason, the Panthers haven't exactly gotten their money's worth. In 2018, CMC set a franchise record for all-purpose yards in a season before breaking his own record the following year by totaling over 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards. He became just the 3rd player in NFL history to ever break the 1K mark in both categories in a single season. Coming off these record-breaking seasons and being named first-team All-Pro in 2019, the Panthers signed McCaffrey to a 4-year, $64 million deal with a $21.5 million signing bonus. They wanted to lock him up for the foreseeable future. Just like any fantasy football owner at the time, he was a do-it-all type of back who was unstoppable in running and passing plays. Unfortunately for CMC and Carolina, though, Christian hasn't been able to stay healthy since signing that contract. Due to a variety of injuries, from ankle to his hamstring to his shoulder, he has only played in 10 games in the last 2 seasons, while making $16 million per year. Safety, Derwin James. Derwin's path to becoming elite has been absurdly quick, but his meteoric rise wasn't as smooth as his play. From the moment the Chargers took him in the first round of the 2018 draft, James showed flashes of brilliance. In his rookie season, he was named first-team All-Pro. The following year, James went into training camp determined to build on this fast start to his career. And after grinding all offseason, just as the season was about to begin, he suffered a stress fracture in his right foot. The injury sidelined him for all but 5 games. Then, right as his 2020 season was set to begin, he tore his meniscus and was forced to miss the entire year. With the football world now doubting that he could stay healthy and questioning if his rookie season was a fluke, Derwin's 2021 campaign was extremely important to him. A fire had been lit inside him, and James rose to the occasion, playing in 15 games and being named to the Pro Bowl. Even though James has only played in 36 career games, the Chargers believe they have found the longtime anchor for their defense. So, just a few weeks prior to the 2022 season starting, they signed him to a record-breaking 4-year, $76.4 million extension. An average of $19.1 million per year and $42 million in guarantees are both all-time highs for an NFL safety. Linebacker Darius Leonard. Darius Leonard's transition from college to pro football was far from normal, and his contract situation speaks to that. As a second-round pick, the Colts were hoping Leonard could come in as a rookie and have some sort of impact, but there was no way they could have expected him to go out and do what he did. As a rookie, Leonard led the league in tackles by a wide margin of 19, won Defensive Rookie of the Year, and was named First-Team All-Pro. There's supposed to be an adjustment period for rookies, even the top draft picks. It's not supposed to be as easy as Leonard made it seem, but that shows how talented he was. He followed up his insane rookie season by making the Pro Bowl again the next 2 seasons and being a second-team All-Pro in 2019 and first-team All-Pro in 2020. A month before the 2021 season began, Leonard signed a 5-year, $99.25 million extension with $52.5 million guaranteed, making him the highest-paid linebacker in the game. A defensive player making $19.7 million per year after only 3 seasons was unheard of, but so was the start to his career. Cornerback Jaire Alexander. Even though he was a first-round pick, Alexander had to prove himself and to work his way up the ranks in Green Bay to earn a big-time second contract. Heading into his rookie season in 2018, Jaire on the Packers depth chart was listed as the 4th cornerback. He was solid in his first 2 years in the league, but the 2020 season was Alexander's coming-out party. Jaire had the highest coverage grade among all cornerbacks, while allowing a passer rating of just 54.3. For context, that season's league average passer rating was 93.6. His great play helped him make his first Pro Bowl and become a second-team All-Pro. While Alexander this past season only played in 4 games after suffering a season-ending shoulder injury, the Packers had seen enough to know they wanted him to be their lockdown corner moving forward. So this offseason, Alexander signed a 4-year, $84 million extension that is fully guaranteed with a $30 million signing bonus. In addition to making $21 million per year, the signing bonus set a record for a defensive back. Offensive line, Trent Williams. The 49ers have shown they aren't afraid to spend big on players after having them for only a short period of time, and they further proved this with Williams. In the 2010 draft, the Redskins took Williams with the 4th pick, and he was the team's rock throughout his time in D.C. Williams made 7 consecutive Pro Bowls from 2012 to 2018 before having a falling out with the team. Prior to the 2019 season, following a medical procedure to remove a type of cancer from his head, Williams requested to be traded or released. He wasn't happy with how the team had handled his health situation and wanted out. The Redskins didn't care though and kept him on their roster for the season, but Williams remained inactive. During the following offseason, Washington finally gave in and traded Williams to the 49ers. Despite having just missed a full year, Williams showed no signs of rust, and he made the Pro Bowl. Feeling like they found a key piece to their offensive puzzle, the 49ers during the 2021 offseason signed Williams to a 6-year, $138 million deal with a $30.1 million signing bonus and $55.1 million guaranteed, making him the highest-paid offensive lineman in league history at $23 million per year. Edge rusher TJ Watt. As the perfect embodiment of what his team city stands for, and also just a beast on the field, Watt is all around beloved by Pittsburgh. From the moment the Steelers drafted him in 2017, Watt has been a no-nonsense guy addicted to hard work. This work ethic has led him to getting better and better each season, even when it seems impossible. Watt finished with the 3rd most sacks in a Steelers rookie season. Then, the following year in 2018, he made his first Pro Bowl. In 2019, he led the NFL in forced fumbles, and in 2020, he was first in sacks. Not Not only did he make the Pro Bowl in each of those seasons, but he was also a first-team All-Pro both years. Playing for a franchise whose calling card since the 70s has been their defense, Watts' play had him well on his way to becoming one of the team's best defenders ever. So just days before the last season began, the Steelers locked him up with a 4-year, $112 million extension at $28 million a year, with $80 million of it guaranteed. The deal at the time made him the highest-paid defensive player in the league. Then, to thank the Steelers for opening up their checkbook, all he did in 2021 was tie the NFL sack record and win Defensive Player of the Year. Wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Hill's services are so desired that during this offseason there was a bidding war between multiple teams for him. He has established himself as one of the league's fastest players and hardest wide receivers to defend. After being taken by the Chiefs in the 5th round in the 2016 draft, the rest of the league quickly realized they had made a massive mistake. Hill has been named to the Pro Bowl in each of his 6 seasons, in addition to being a first-team All-Pro 3 times. While there were plenty of good times in Kansas City, Hill this offseason decided it was time for a fresh start, so he requested a trade. This news sent shockwaves throughout the league, as it's not every day that a star like Hill becomes available on the trade market. Teams immediately began contacting the Chiefs to see what the price would be to acquire the wideout. Along with giving Kansas City assets, they would have to sign Hill to a mega deal. The Dolphins and Jets were both more than willing to do so and had offers in place. Hill ultimately chose Miami over New York, as the Dolphins sent the Chiefs 5 draft picks and gave Hill $30 million a year, with a 4-year, $120 million extension, making him the highest-paid wide receiver in league history. Defensive lineman Aaron Donald. Coming off winning his first career Super Bowl and inking a historic contract, life couldn't be any better for Aaron Donald. Ever since Donald came into the league in 2014, he has been a nightmare for opposing offenses. He won NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year and was one of only 5 rookies that season to be named to the Pro Bowl. Making the Pro Bowl has become a yearly thing for Donald, who has received the nod in each of his 8 seasons. And the honors didn't stop there, as he won the league's Defensive Player of the Year award a record 3 times. Already having plenty of personal achievements, this past season Donald helped his team experienced the same type of success, as he led the Rams to their first Super Bowl victory in over 2 decades. Donald had accomplished so much in his career at this point that this offseason he actually flirted with the idea of retiring, but the Rams were determined not to let this happen and gave him an offer he couldn't resist. They agreed to a 3-year, $95 million extension at $31.6 million per year, with all $95 million of it guaranteed, including a $25 million signing bonus. The deal makes Donald the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Although Rodgers has been the face of the Packers franchise for over a decade, there has been constant uncertainty and drama about him staying in Green Bay. In 2011, he etched his name into the list of all-time Packer greats by leading his team to a Super Bowl victory as part of an MVP season. Rodgers in 2014 won the prestigious award for a second time, further writing his legacy in Green Bay. While it seemed like the Packers were set up for a dynasty with Rodgers under center, the team hasn't been back to the Super Bowl since 2011. That lack of team success has led Rodgers to consider leaving the team, or even the game of football as a whole. On numerous occasions, the news cycle has focused on him potentially being traded, leaving in free agency, or just retiring. But this talk hasn't affected Rodgers' play on the field, as in 2020 and 2021 he won back-to-back league MVPs. And with 4 MVPs, Rodgers finds himself just 1 shy of the league record. So this offseason, Rodgers and the Packers decided to put their differences aside for the time being and make a few more runs at the Super Bowl, agreeing to $50.3 million per year through a 3-year, $150.8 million extension that